In this episode, we're going to talk about Neville Goddard's most radical idea. It is so crazy that you might not even believe me. So stick around to find out what it is. Hi everyone! Welcome back to another episode of the Neville Goddard Explained series, where we explore Neville Goddard's teachings and how they can be applied to your life. If you are new here, then I highly suggest you watch episode 1 before watching this one. Because in episode 1, I explain who Neville Goddard was and how his teachings changed my life forever. And the spiritual world had been torn open, and he was able to see the truth of reality. The first thing that you need to understand is that this statement is not meant to be taken literally. Let us break it down so you can really understand what Neville was getting at when he said it. First, let's look at the word God. Like I said before, when Neville used the term God, he wasn't referring to a literal deity. It is the thing that makes you feel like you are not connected to the source of all creation. It challenges everything that we have been taught about ourselves and about the world. It makes us question everything we believe to be true. But it is only when we question everything that we believe to be true that we are able to discover the truth. It is your ego, your false sense of self, that makes you think that you are separate from the divine. Why should you care what Neville Goddard said all those years ago? How many times have you felt like you were not in control of your life? It is an idea that challenges everything we believe to be true about ourselves and about the world. But it is also an idea that sets us free from the limitations that we have placed on ourselves. It is an idea that allows us to tap into the infinite power that is within us and to create anything we want in our lives. How many times have you felt like things were happening to you instead of the other way around? I hope it has helped you to see that you are not limited by anything. Also, let me know in the comments below what you thought of this episode. What did you find most interesting about it? And if you have any questions about anything that I have covered in this episode, then let me know in the comments below. And I hope it has helped you to remember that you are the creator of your own reality. How many times have you felt like you were a victim of circumstances? If you are honest with yourself, I know that you can relate to these situations. We all feel like this sometimes. Well, because this statement holds the key to your power. It is the key to understanding that you are not limited by anything. You are free to create anything you want in your life. But once you realize that you are not separate from the divine, that you are not limited by anything, then you are able to create anything you want in your life. But rather, the source of all creation, the energy that brings things into existence. What if I told you that you are in control of everything that happens to you? The next time you feel like you are a victim of circumstances, remember that you are not. Remember that you are God wearing a human mask. You are powerful beyond measure. You can create anything you want in your life. All you have to do is believe it to be true. What if I told you that you are the creator of your own reality? This might sound like a radical idea, but it is the truth. And Neville Goddard's statement, "You are God wearing a human mask," helps us to remember this truth. This is the same concept that many other spiritual teachers have talked about, such as Lao Tzu, who said, "Do not do things with force. Do them with the Tao." The Tao is the way of the universe, the natural order of things, the source of all creation. Neville was not saying that you are literally God sitting on a throne in the sky with a white beard. When Neville said that you are God wearing a human mask, he was implying that you are temporarily experiencing yourself through a human body and a human mind. You are limited by the boundaries of this physical form and the thoughts that arise in your head. But these limitations are only temporary. They are like a mask that you are wearing that will eventually be taken off. When this happens, you will realize that you are not limited by anything. You are free to create anything you want in your life. Rather, he was using the concept of God to refer to the source of all creation, the energy from which everything in the universe is created. This is the same idea that he had explored in his other teachings, but in this case, he was making it even more explicit. In that moment, he realized that everything that he had ever taught in his books and in his lectures was only a small part of what he was actually meant to teach. He realized that he had been holding back and that he was afraid to share the truth with the world. But now, standing in front of that crowd, he knew that he could not hold back anymore. He had to share the truth with them, no matter how radical it might be. He looks out at the crowd and sees a sea of faces staring back at him, waiting for him to say something that would change their lives forever. He takes a deep breath, closes his eyes, and says the following. Are you ready? Here goes. You are God wearing a human mask. This one sentence is the most radical idea that Neville Goddard ever came up with, and it is certainly one of the most controversial statements that any mystic has ever made. And in future episodes, I will be building on the ideas that I introduce in that episode. If you have watched episode 1, or if this is the first episode that you are watching, Then let's dive straight into the topic of this episode, which is Neville Goddard's most radical idea. Before we get into what that idea actually is, let me set the scene for you. He had just finished his book, The Law and the Promise, and he was about to share with the world an idea that would change the spiritual community forever. But while you wait for him to start speaking, there is a man in the crowd named Neville, and he feels something inside of him start to rise up. He doesn't know what it is, but it's like nothing he has ever felt before. It's like there is a fire being lit inside of him, and he can feel himself transforming right before his eyes. What Neville is experiencing in that moment is the same thing that all of us are going to experience when we hear what Neville is about to say, because it was such a radical idea that it would literally blow our minds. It is January 1970, and you are standing in front of a small crowd of people, waiting for Neville Goddard to begin speaking. But now it is time for Neville to speak. When Neville said this statement, it was as if the veil between the physical world and the truth is this: you are God wearing a human mask. But don't go anywhere because I am just getting started. So let's take a step back and look at this statement from a different angle. Now let's look at the word wearing. Finally, let's look at the word mask. The mask is what limits your ability to create in your life. This is why Neville Goddard's statement, "You are God wearing a human mask," is so radical. Now, you might be wondering why this statement is so important. Think about it. But what if I told you that you are not a victim of anything? So the next time you feel like you are not in control of your life, the next time you feel like things are happening to you, this is the most radical idea that Neville Goddard ever came up with. It is the idea that you are God wearing a human mask. I hope this episode has helped you to see the world in a different way. That brings us to the end of this episode. If you enjoyed it, then please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.